Now you're on.
May I have your attention, please? Please take your seats. Good evening and welcome to Fire Prevention Seminar that we're having tonight. I want to also welcome those who are streaming. Thank you very much for attending. This is a program the Safety and Security Committee has been working on for the last 6 months, and it's finally come to fruition. We've been in close contact with the Westbury Fire Department, who have agreed to come here tonight to give the presentation. I would like to introduce Bob Ibos from the Westbury Fire Department. Bob?
Thank you, Peter. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm not used to working with it. So before we actually get into the presentation, I just want to put on your radar 2 things. There's a pool going on tonight, so if you all want to get into it, it'd be great. The pool is how far into the presentation I will go before I trip on the cords that they have on either side of the podium. Matt was nice enough to put one to my left and to my right, so I'm surrounded here. And I have to tell you, I'm a wanderer. I typically will wander the room when I give these. So the other thing that you want to be aware of when I'm up here talking, I have a bad tendency to point to things on my screen here. So if I start to just say, point to the big screen, Bob, please, okay? If you would, that would be great. I was telling Matt, it's okay though, because if I do get hurt and we need to go for an ambulance, you're within our district, so not only do I get transported, I get a point for that also, so all very good. As Peter mentioned, my name is Bob Ibos. I'll introduce my cohorts here in just a few minutes when we get into the actual presentation itself. Before we get into the actual presentation, I have a couple of points that I would like to go through to kind of get your attention, to get everyone focused and stuff. And I can tell you that it's an important point because I have a warning slide. Okay, first important point. Age increases risk. You need to remember that, all right? So we'll leave it at that. That was supposed to be a little thing. Does it go up? Does it go down? I think we all know that as you age, your risk of bad things happening goes up. So let's take a look at this. So this is, you remember Sergeant Friday? Remember him? He's got his angry eyes out today. So 55 years, the minimum age to get in, right? 55? So how many people 55 to 65? The youngsters, okay. Oh, before I do that, I should tell you, these guys, the people who are substantially younger than I am, they are the general population. So it's us versus them in this regard, okay? 55 to 65, twice as likely to be injured or killed in a fire. 2 times more than them. All right, 75 to 85? Yeah, 3 times. Anyone over 85? Good, because 4 times as likely. All right, so all the statistics that you see where it's the general, how many bad things happen, fire-related within this country every year, remember that if it's something that's talking about this country as a whole, your numbers are skewed in the wrong way, all right? Okay, guess what? Important point number 2. This is our first, we have 2 videos in here. This is the first one. I will warn you up front, there is no sound. I don't think there's sound, but there is no sound. This is going to be a video that's going to compare, and you'll see, it's going to talk about legacy furnishings within a home and modern furnishings. Legacy furnishings are what you grew up with. When furniture was made out of wood and it was stuffed with materials that were natural, so cotton fibers, things of that nature. The modern side is what you have today. They're not stuffed with anything that grew naturally. They're not made out of wood. So Underwriters Laboratories took and they made identical rooms up, and they do what Underwriters does. They lit them on fire, okay? The other thing that you're going to see here is the term flashover. Flashover is a term that we use, and it means that basically the room has become hot enough that anything that can burn will burn all at once. And that's a bad day, okay? So you see that okay? I think the ignition source was supposed to simulate a lit cigarette that was dropped on the arm of the sofa. Let's go get a cup of coffee. So just to reiterate, the only difference between those two rooms was the fuel package, was the furnishings. The point of this is, and it's going to come up again and again and again because I'm going to keep harping on it, fires that we have in residences today are not the fires you had that I had when we were kids. Growing up in our houses, you had, on average, 20 minutes to get out of the house. That left you all kinds of time to find out what was going on. Were you going to try to put it out? 20 minutes, you could go get the garden hose in the backyard, bring it in through the kitchen, and put the flames out. Today, Underwriters has calculated, FEMA has calculated, you have less than 3 minutes from the time the smoke alarms alert to exit your homes or your apartments or your residences. That gives you no time to make that. That's an instantaneous decision. Am I going to fight this thing or am I going to flee? Because after 3 minutes, you're not getting out. All right, so that's going to come up again, but I just wanted to put this video in so that I think it makes a pretty good illustration of just where we're at right now with these types of situations. Okay, topics for, so now we're into the actual presentations. This is where we actually would normally start, but now I hopefully have everyone's attention in here. So, we're going to do little introductions and housekeeping. I thought you might want to know a little bit more about us, what we do here at the fire department. We're going to have a section on just general fire safety, so fire prevention, which are the normal things that we would talk about. And then we added a section in here that's fire safety, but it's more specific to Meadowbrook Point. So as Peter mentioned, we've been working with the Safety and Security Committee here, great bunch, and we tried to tailor things more towards what is happening here, so how things are here, all right? So housekeeping, exits behind you to the sides, I think on these walls also. You know where the restrooms are because I don't, but I'm going to guess they're out and are around. Oh, and by the way, in case of an emergency, head for the exits or follow me. I'm first out usually. Cellular devices, out of courtesy, silence them, that would be great. That goes for you guys too, Stephen. All right, introductions. As you already know, my name is Bob Iwas. I'm a member of the Westbury Fire Department, and I'm also a member of their Fire Prevention Committee. We're all members of the Fire Prevention Committee, so this is what we do. With me tonight is Mike Civils, Jenny Gonzalez, and Stephen Pisantes. If you want to pick on any of it, Stephen's the youngest, newest guy here, so go pick on him. All right. So let's talk a little bit about who we are. The Safety and Security Committee, they were kind enough to meet me at the fire department headquarters. We gave them a little tour of the building. Unfortunately, they refused to sign up to become members. I'm a little disappointed in that, but I'll keep working on them. So they kind of have this information already, but I'll just go through it for you guys. And I apologize, this is actually outdated. So at the time, we have 3 fire companies within our department. The Hook and Ladder Company, they're the oldest. They were founded in 1897. My company, Hose Company number 1, came around in 1913. And Stevens in my company. So Jenny and Mike, they were in Hose 2, and that came in 33? 32? Okay. We also now have taken, so these are the 3 fire, see, and I'm doing this again, right? I'm pointing at the screen here. These are the 3 fire companies that we have. So if you were an EMT and you wanted to go on medical calls, you first had to be a member of one of the fire companies, and then you could become an EMT. That's changed with us. It's actually changing now, where our rescue squad has now become a separate non-fire company. So EMTs will be their own entity within our department. That was a huge change for us. So it's a little outdated here. We are typically around 150 members, and that balances out between the 3 fire companies. We have a ghost. She lives on the 3rd floor of our headquarters building. Absolutely serious. I'm God serious. So, and then the only other people that are normally in our buildings all the time are our dispatchers. So we have a full-time dispatch staff. They're there 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. We'll talk more about that later. The rest of us are volunteers. You all knew that, right? Okay, so we carry, I don't have my pager. Does anyone have a pager? So when we're sworn in, you just hold it up. They give us these. They're like little pager devices. When there's an alert or an alarm, that opens up as a receiver. We hear what the alarm is. We hear where it is. We leave our homes, get in our cars, drive to our station, do what needs to be done, put apparatus back into service if we did anything, and then go back home again. Sounds really glamorous, right? We get to ride the big red trucks, all that stuff. Let me tell you something. It loses its glamour when that thing goes off at 3 o'clock on a weekday morning in February. And you learn that if you take and you scrape about that much of your windshield, you can kind of get enough to get going, all right? This is what we protect. So we have the village of Westbury. the Newcastle Fire District, the Old Westbury Fire District, the South Westbury Fire District, and the East Garden City Fire District. I actually think Hempstead Plains is in there too, I think. Within those, the important, obviously you guys are in our protection district, Roosevelt Field Mall, 2/3 of SUNY Old Westbury, the LIE between exits 39 and 40, and sections of all 3 of the parkways. I'm sorry? Oh, I thought that was for me. So depending on how you look at the map, we are either the 2nd or 3rd largest district in the county. We average about 1,700 alarms a year for our department, which is 3 a day, I think, if you do the math roughly. That's what it works out to be. So the alarms we go to, structure fires, those are our subcategories. So it's either a working fire, it could be an occupant trapped. The code 96 is one of us. Auto accidents, and this is with a car fire. And I just noticed this when I was putting this into this PowerPoint deck. If you look, see the yellow stick with the red top on it? Does anyone know what that is? That's a natural gas pipeline marker, just where we want to see a car fire. Yeah, that was oh boy. General alarm rescue, elevator rescues. We go to the mall a lot for elevator rescues. My favorite is smoke in the area. That's when someone simply calls the alarm line and says, "Hey, I smell something, and I'm standing at this corner." Okay, we'll come and take a look. The CO alarms, wires down. Oh, and my other favorite, the unknown type problem. And see, I'm moving my mouse again here. So the unknown problem, I don't know what's going on, but you know what? Let's send someone over to take a look. These are our rescue calls. So these are the Signal 9s. These are medical calls. And then there are certain ones that become, don't worry, I should have taken out the whole thing about charged or silent. So here at Meadowbrook Point, this is what we respond to here. And this goes back to when you first opened, I believe. I'm trying to get the data specific for last year. I couldn't have it here for tonight. The system at the department wasn't cooperating with me. But you can tell from this, far and away, the alarm categories we respond to here are automatic alarms, which is either a smoke detector in a common area or, that's what it would be. So one of the smoke detectors is going off, and the Alarm Central Station has alerted us that it's happening here at Meadowbrook Point. The other ones are the medical calls, the Signal 9s. But I have to tell you that for all this time, we've only been here, as of the beginning of last year, 230 times, which is nothing. It seems like we go to the mall that often in a month. So having said all of this, we'll talk real briefly, real quickly about the train. When I first joined, we were having dinner with friends, and one of the remarks that one of the guests made was, oh, you're a member of the fire department, and one of the people said, well, that's okay because they don't go to real fires. I thought, yeah, that's right. We only go to the volunteer ones. We let the paid professionals go to the real ones. We do a lot of training. So these are the required ones. This is about 8 hours a year. And I'm pointing with the mouse again. The newest one is that's the personal safety system. That's the hook we wear on our waist that allow us to go out a window. So if something bad is happening, we can get ourselves out. There are company drills that you see where we'll get a junk car, take it over to one of our station on Old Country Road, and use the extrication tools and cut the car up, which is kind of fun. We have it's monthly probationary drill, so he's right in the thick of it right now. This photo was a training drill that we set up with the school bus that smashed into the car head on. There's actually, and here I am with the mouse again. In between, under the bus, on the hood of the car, there's one of our rescue Randys. So we had a victim there. So the point of the drill was, what are you going to do? We have to get this person out. So we had to figure out how to jack the bus up high enough to get the person out. Along with the things that we do within the department, we also have the Fire Service Academy for Nassau County. This is out in Bethpage, near the state park. And this is where we go for classroom training and also for live fire training. So there are mock-ups here. You can kind of see the buildings that are going around. So in one of the things we do, it's called Department Operations. So in May, for us, next month, every Wednesday night, we're out here for live fire training. And that's 6 to 11. So 5 hours, that's 20 hours right there of training out there. Personally, I find that these training fires are far worse than these things are nasty. They're, enough about that. So these are some of the classroom courses that they offer there. One of the ones that's recurring is building construction. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later, near the end of the presentation, actually. On the one side, under the OEM and OEC, are some of my favorites. Bomb making awareness, the chemical agent. It's like you sign up to become a member of the volunteer fire service, and the last class you think you're going to be in is bomb making awareness. Yet, this is the world we live in today. We also have training at the state level, and we have some at the national level too. New York State participates in a weekend at the National Fire Academy in Delaware, near Gettysburg, actually. And that's I was able to do that a couple years ago. It's quite a thing. So that's pretty much about us. I just like this picture. This is a chauffeur in training that was told to configure the engine for a commercial building fire. So this is just one of the little things we need to know in addition to our everyday job. All right? And that goes back to the amount of training we've had. So enough about the fire department. Let's talk about fire safety. Here's one of my favorites, especially when talking to adults. It's a stop, drop, and roll. Now I'll ask you this, and I know you're going to give me the right answer. So when do we do this? When do we stop, drop, and roll?
When we're on fire.
Yes. Okay. When I speak to the school kids, you would be surprised. Because one of the top number one answers is when the house is on fire. So, I think about, the smoke and the flames in that introductory slide, and your child is on the floor rolling back and forth. So, okay, so we won't spend a lot of time on this. Stop what you're doing. Drop to the ground. Cover your face. You can't work that into stop, drop, and roll, but it's stop, drop, cover your face, and roll. And don't stop until the flames go out. What would you do if someone else's clothes were on fire? I'm sorry? That's it. Exactly. Help them. All right? Because the thing is, they may not know that they're on fire. So, yeah, definitely. Kitchen safety. Number one cause of home fires. Annually, throughout this country, fire departments respond to almost 200,000 cooking fire alarms a year. You can see this. Estimated 170 deaths, 3,300 injuries, and lots of property. So let's talk about kitchen safety. We'll go talk about a few different things. That came out all right, right? You can see? Okay. The illustration is to turn the pot handles in. This is so simple, right? It's such a simple thing to do, and it could make all the difference. I know we don't have kids here, but we have kids that visit maybe sometimes. Don't let them run across the front of the stove and knock the pot off because the handle was turned out, all right? Oven fires. What do you do when your oven, something on the oven has gotten away from you and it's on fire? Pardon me? Turn the oven. Who said it? Turn the oven off. Turn it off. Don't open it up. Keep an eye on it. And just let it cool down. You're going to need to have it serviced because something else may be wrong. But that's what we want. What happens when the flames are no longer inside the oven? Maybe you forgot what I just told you when you opened the door to take a look to see if it really was something. And now the flames are coming out of the front. What do we do then? You're going to leave. It's time to go. Okay, get outside, get to a safe place, call us. All right. Microwaves.
This is a common one here, by the way.
Just the same thing, turn it off, unplug it, and let it go. And again, do not open the door until everything's under control. Okay, everyone all right? Don't do this when you're tired. Or, and this was the other one, taking medicine that could make you drowsy. Okay, here's the biggie. So everyone tune in. Keep a lid nearby. Why? Why do you want to keep a lid near the stove while you're cooking? Cover what is cover? That's right, exactly. So you're all getting applications to join now. What's the worst thing that's on fire on your stovetop? Oil. Exactly. Your first means of extinguishment and the most reliable, the best, grab the lid and cover it. I'd go on. He'll be banging his head in a second. I could talk about the fire tetrahedron, fuel, air, blah, 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 blah. We remove one. Cover the pot, the fire goes out. Cover the pot and leave it alone until it's nice and cool. Don't say, "Oh, I think it's out," because it's just gonna flash over again. It's just gonna flame up, right? So just let it go. We're gonna actually talk a little bit more about this when we talk about extinguishers. Oh, but while we're here and not on extinguishers yet, would you ever use water to put out a grease fire? No. Thank you. Anyone disagree with that? Okay, good. Smoking. 5% of residential fires, 23% of home deaths. The leading cause of home fire deaths in this country for the 4 years listed. I want you to think about that with the lit cigarette on the sofa from the first video. All right? Especially if you're drowsy, you fell asleep, and that's how the thing got started. All right? And how those things chain together. All right, if you're going to smoke, this is kind of like, all right, I'll put this in, but reality. Smoke outside, all right? That's recommended. Is that reality? Probably not. I'm sorry to say, but I worked for Computer Associates when they started going non-smoking. The whole company went, and and they had to go outside by the door, so they'd be huddled up with mittens and stuff. And don't smoke in bed. Again, going back to the first thing, that first video. So this is making a bad situation worse. Here's my other favorite. Please don't do this. Space heaters cause 1 in every 7 home fires. How many of you have them? That's all. Now you're definitely all joining. That's awesome. That's great. Okay, so then it's so good for you guys, right? So we don't need to talk about 54% of the deaths and all that stuff. And I don't need to tell you to keep it at 3 feet away from everything because you don't have them. But if you did have them or you were thinking of getting one, 3 feet away from everything, please. The thing is, with the heat that it may be not enough on any given day to start an incident, to start a fire, but over time, if it's in proximity to something, it dries it out. And it dries it out. So that synthetic filling in the couch is getting drier and drier, and as that moisture content goes down, it now becomes more likely that you're going to have a problem. So maybe one day, all of a sudden, this thing just decides to go. So 3 feet away from everything. Do not plug it in if the plug is damaged or the cord is frayed. Please do not plug them into an extension cord. Does anyone know why, by the way? Why are extension cords bad with space heaters? Because typically the extension cord isn't rated for the heater. So it's overloading the extension cord or the power strip, and now that's going to be the source of your problem. So that's why we say just don't plug them into an extension cord. Your buildings are up to code. There should be, I think it's every 6 feet, you should have an outlet of running space in your rooms. Smoke detectors. Who loves them in this room? I'm not going to say hate because I'm on YouTube, but who doesn't like them? Yeah. I think I'm about 20-something minutes in. Okay, so here it is, the smoke detector. It can be a standalone unit. You can still buy standalones, which is you can stick them onto the ceiling. There's no wires, just a battery. Those are okay when you have no other choice. You're far better off, though, getting an interconnected detector, which is what we'll talk about what you have here. But they'll have a plug on the back or wires coming out, and you need to have electrical wiring to hook them together. The reason that you have that is it uses as its source your line voltage, your 110 volt electricity in your units. That's what it prefers to use to have its power. It also uses one of those wires to talk to the other smoke detectors that it's connected to. That's why if you've noticed, in your apartments or units, one goes, they all go. Right? And that's by design. That's because they're interconnected, and that's what's happening. Someone's having a problem, so we're going to let everyone know. They all have a battery compartment. Standalone detectors and interconnected detectors all have batteries. The interconnected ones have them in case there's a power failure. All right, the standalone ones have them because that's where they get their power. And if you are interested during the intermission or afterwards, I can actually explain to you why the battery dies in the middle of the night. There's an actual reason for that, and I can talk about that later. You should have these on at least one on every level of your unit. Let me ask you this, can you have too many of these? Thank you. Very good answer. You, by code, pretty sure I'm getting this right. I'm not a code enforcement person, but you have to have them minimally outside of each sleeping area. If you have them inside, even better. Again, the more the merrier with this stuff. All right. If you have these in your units, they are properly installed and they are in proper working order. And this alerts, and you pay attention, you listen. So you say, hey, the smoke alarm is going off. I don't know why. Let me see what's going on. If you then have a problem in your unit and you exit, you stand, it's greater than a 95% chance of walking away, of surviving whatever it was that made this thing go off if it was a real incident. If you don't have these installed, or you took the batteries out because they were annoying and they can no longer alert, so you have no protection from these, your chances of surviving drop to the low 30s. So less than around a 30% chance. These work and they do save lives. I get so frustrated when we hear on the news, so many people succumbed during the fire, and there were smoke detectors, but there were no batteries. I should have asked you this before. They don't, where's my guys? We talked about this. They do not, nobody here changes batteries. Right?
Once a year, and we have the choice to have it replaced.
Okay. Okay, so then we'll do this part, all right? How often do we recommend you change them? And what's our reminder point?
Daylight saving time and
Change the clock, change the battery. Okay, here's the insider tip, because you were nice enough to attend this thing tonight. That goes for the alkaline batteries. The batteries we grew up with, the alkaline ones, 6 months. If you put lithium batteries in, like 5-year lithium batteries, the ones that will cost you an arm and a leg, let them go a little more than 6 months. All right, if you change those every 6 months, you'll be in the poorhouse. They're cost prohibitive. Newest things with these are the sealed units. There is no battery. There is a battery, but you can't access it. The battery in there is meant to go for 10 years. What's the life expectancy of one of these? 7 to 10 years. So the 10-year battery, you should be fine. However, well, you guys wouldn't be buying them anyways, right? Or if you do, check the manufacturer date on the package. It's a 10-year battery. That doesn't mean that it made it to the shelf. All right. Next topic. Fire extinguishers. What type of fire extinguisher should we have? Wow. Application. I'm really tempting fate. I'm going to go around this way next time. And you were absolutely right, ABC. A, things that leave ash. B, things that go boom. C, things that have circuits. So regular fires and electrical fires, you're good with those. Cooking fires, are they good with cooking fires? So I have a pot of oil burning on my stove. Can I grab an ABC extinguisher and put it out? Yes, you can. The ABC extinguisher is a dry extinguishing agent. It's almost like a baking soda. And you can use it. They're relatively new, but there is now a Class K extinguisher. A Class K extinguisher is meant for kitchen fires. So it is better at putting out a kitchen fire than an ABC extinguisher. So you just want to get that on everyone's radar. The thing is, and this gets hammered in a couple times. See this guy here? All right. Tell you what, let's do this. And we're going to get into this a little bit more in a little bit. So we talk about the flee or fight, right? The alarm is going off. There's a fire in the kitchen on the stove. Maybe the drapes are going up. You have to make a decision. Are you going to try to fight this thing, or are you going to flee? Are you leaving, or are you staying? If you decide that you're going to fight, you're probably going to grab your fire extinguisher. So in the heat of that moment, it is not a good time for you to look at the extinguisher and say, okay, what do I do? All right? If you find yourself doing that, it may, not for sure, but may be better for you just to put it down and go away. But if, again, we can go over this part. This is the basic stuff. So it's the PASS, right? PASS, I think you've all heard. There's going to be some kind of a pin, a ring with a pin. You're going to pull that. You're going to aim at the base of the fire. There's a big asterisk with that. Okay, we'll come back in a second. But you're going to aim at the seat of the fire, the base of the fire. Squeeze that handle, and you're going to sweep it back and forth until the fire goes out. Where would you not point it at the base of the fire? In what situation would you not point the extinguisher at the base of the seat of the fire? No, that would be okay. The cooking oil fire. Is that, I'm sorry, is that what so you get an application too. If the pot of oil is burning on the stove and you grab the extinguisher and you say, I remember, I pull the key, I'm aiming at the base, I squeeze the handle and I start sweeping, you're going to have a nice, beautiful fireball. Grab your phone, take a quick snapshot of it because it's going to be pretty. Okay, for those fires, we don't. Remember, why did we put the lid on it? That's right. So now we don't, oh my God, we don't have a lid. Grab the extinguisher. If we don't aim for the base, but we aim like above, just a little bit above, and we sweep back and forth, that agent is going to come down on top of the pot. It's not going to disturb the oil and push it out onto the burner, but it's going to just kind of collect on top of the oil and it's going to put it out. That's a lot to remember, right? So what's my recommendation then? To hammer that point again, what do I recommend? Okay. Can it be an oversized lid, by the way? Yes. Too big is okay. As long as it covers the whole circumference, you're fine. Don't, if it's a 12-inch skillet and you have a 6-inch lid. I'm sorry. If you have a fire blanket and you know how to use it, that should work also, if it's made for that type of fire. So again, that will be something, check to make sure it's meant for that purpose, that you know how to use it, then that should be okay. I've never, honestly, I have not. Have you guys a fire blanket for that? Okay. But I would say overall, that would be okay for that. The other thing, a cookie sheet. If you have that, and and again, the thing is, when you start using the oil or whatever it is, just put a lid over here. Well, I'm not going to need it, but just put it over there. Oh, I'm stealing my own thunder here. I'm sorry. My recommendation is use the ABC on a cooking, like an oil fire, only as a last resort. I don't have the lid, nothing else handy. Let me grab the extinguisher. And again, you're going to try to blanket what's above it. And never, never, never put it at the base of the flame in that pot of oil. All right. So we talked about fight or flee, right? So that was kind of like the fighting part. Let's talk about the fleeing then. So you've decided that it's time to get out of Dodge, right? Whatever it is that's happening is you have come to a quick decision that it's beyond your capabilities, so it's time to get out. You need to know what the next step is at that point. All right? You need to know, okay, I need to get out, but now then what am I going to do? So you need to have a plan. You need to know that from this door, my closest exit is to the right, or maybe to the left, but know where those are. Know, for instance, when you come in here, into any room actually, where are the egress? Code mandates, the building codes mandate, there's a minimum of 2 means of egress for every room. So we have a bunch of them here. Every room in your home, or your unit, or your residence, a townhouse or the villa, will have 2 ways of egress. And you need to remember those where they are. It's kind of like when you're on the airplane and they're doing the pre-flight stuff, and the last line is now, because this wasn't in the original thing, but they say the nearest exit may be behind you. Because they ran studies, and in an emergency, everyone went to the front, and no one was using the ones behind them. So same type of thing. All right, know where these are. Know where your stairwells are. Because remember, it may not look like it is now. All right, just like you saw in that video, the smoke was banking down, and it can get, because we know this is part of our training, it can get within 6 inches of the floor. So we're not standing up and walking out of our rooms at this point. In fact, we're going to talk a little bit about that. So you need to remember that you may not stand up and say, oh, here, it's over here, or where are the emergency exit lights. Okay, you need to be able to know that. You need a meeting place. You need a place where you can kind of take inventory afterwards. This is the biggest thing when I especially talk to the school kids. Nothing. All right, where do you go? Oh, well, I don't know. Okay. So it should be a place that is safe. I can tell you one thing, I highly recommend that your meeting place is not at the front door of the building. That's us. We're the front door of the building, all right? And I can tell you from experience, we do not play nice with other people, all right? It's not like, oh, look, there's a group of residents there. It's like, get out of the way. And there's no please. It's just get out of the way. So somewhere off to the side would be good. Do you have cars in driveways here? I can't remember. All right. The car in the driveway is not good. That is not a good meeting place. Because Murphy's Law says the car will be not in the driveway the night that you need it to be in the driveway. All right. Your neighbor's porch or something, but that I don't know how much that applies here with you guys. Last thing about this, and we're going to talk about this more in a little bit. Plan your escape around your abilities. Okay? Plan your escape around what you're capable of doing. You know, I asked the school kids, you're in a second floor bedroom and your house is on fire, what do? I go to the window and I jump out. No, don't jump, because you'll hurt yourself. So know what you're capable. If you're not capable of walking down the stairs from where you are to where you need to get to, that is not an escape route for you. Right? If you don't have that ability, you're not comfortable doing that, or there's any hesitation whatsoever, don't do it. And we'll come back to that in a little bit. But I need to make sure that everyone understands that you don't try to do things that you're not going to be able to do. Okay? This thing is really hamstringing me. I'm normally walking around, I'm meeting and greeting, I'm stuck here. I apologize, guys. Okay, I see you're nodding, yes. All right, we're going to feel it. We're not going to. The alarm's going off. People are yelling. Things don't smell right. You're thinking, I need to get out. Are you just going to throw the door open and run into the hallway? Okay, so you're going to check the door. How are we going to do this? This is huge. How? Like this? Back of the hand. Don't do this. Don't. Jenny, run to the door. Feel it with the front of your hand. Yep. Don't do what Jenny's going to do. See what she's doing? Don't do that. Do it with the back of your hand, right? And along the sides and stuff. You do this, and you hit a hot doorknob or a handle, your involuntary reflex is to clench a fist. You're going to clench a fist on whatever it is that's hot, and that's not good. You'll be, what's his name in the Home Alone, where he had the initials on his palm? That's what's going to end up with. With the back of your hand, you encounter something hot, your involuntary reaction is to clench, but it's going to clench away, and you're going to say, that's hot. So if it's hot, are we going out that way? Okay, good answer. If it's not hot, are we going to throw the door open and run out at that point? I'm sorry. You're going to take a peek. Open it a little bit, take a look, see what's going on. If you think now it's not so bad, and you make that decision that my escape plan can be put into effect, then you're going to go. And you're not going to come back. You are not going to come back. I don't need with the kids going back in because your pet or your favorite toy is still inside. What's the worst thing that can happen if you go back? But maybe you made it most of the way out and you decided, oh shoot, I need to go back in. But your friend saw you out. And we say, is everyone out? And they're going to say, yep, he was just here. I just saw him. All right, and in the meantime, you're not. So don't go back in. Okay. It seems intuitive, but it is and it isn't. Don't stand in the smoke. The number one cause of our deaths now, in this day and age, anyone have an idea? Cancer. From, yes. Cardiac is competing with it. We're not in a very good place, but cardiac is competing with it, but right now it's cancer from inhalation. Remember that stuff that was burning in the first video? That smoke is not good for you. don't breathe it. So our axiom is, as the smoke goes down, you go lower. So see our person going low, hands and knees. What happens if hands and knees and you're still in the smoke? Keep going. Part of our training, they put us in a non-combustible room with a pan of diesel fuel, wood pallets, and 5 gallons of gasoline for the heck of it. And the instructor comes in. We're not on respiratory protection, so we're just in our bunker gear in this room. And the instructor comes in with a lit wick, and he lights the pan on fire. And it goes off. And as this thing is burning, and you're kind of looking around, he's talking. He's saying, oh, look at this, look at this. And he says, at one point, take your glove off and put your hand up here. It's hot, right? It's not comfortable. It's not good. And you're like, yeah. Okay, glove on. Take a knee. So now it's not so bad down here. Talking to us about a couple of other things. Okay, put your hands back up. That's where your face was. It's not so good anymore, is it? Nope. Okay, go down. So now we're down on the ground. And I mean, we're on the ground. And he then takes that moment to remind us that this is how people put fires out back in the day, before they had the Scott packs. So this is how they operated. You will find air. That last 6 inches, it's very hard for the fire to push that air out. So you will find air. So if you're in the hallway making the stairway and you have to keep going lower because you're in the smoke, go all the way down to your bellies and get out that way, but keep moving. Okay. Once you're out safely, what I would like you to do at that point is either your phone or someone else's phone. Call us. We're putting together I didn't have a chance to fully type it, but we have a contact card you can put into your contacts for your smartphones that has our alarm line. And I'll make sure that the safety guys have it too. But this is a direct line to our dispatcher. You call this number, they're going to pick up. So I'm so-and-so, I'm at Meadowbrook Point such and such, and there's a fire. Okay, that's the direct line in. Okay. How many of you sleep with your bedroom doors closed? I'm sorry, put your hands down. How many of you sleep with your bedroom doors open? Okay. If you've been tuning in and out, tune in now. Okay? Another short video, and then we're going to take a quick break.
Oh my God, that is insane.
In the event of a fire, who here thinks that you're safer sleeping with the doors open?
I keep them open because I was a mom for so long.
My kids' room is 2 doors down from mine.
Always open.
I'm not all that confident they would stop anything anyway. Harold, hey. Ben. Ben, nice to meet you.
Harold, have a seat.
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
Hello. I'm right here.
Chris, how are you?
Great.
As you think about fire safety, what keeps you up at night?
Yeah, I'm not too concerned.
I probably don't think about a fire threat as much as I should because I do forget to turn things off often.
Have you ever been through one?
A fire? No.
We told you that you'd be coming here today for discussion, but what we didn't tell you is that there is also a demonstration that we want to show you. Sound good? I want to introduce you to Steve, the director of the UL Firefighter Safety Research Institute. I'll let Steve take it away.
Welcome. My job is to lead a team of people that study how fire grows and spreads so we can keep you safe. Here at the Delaware County Emergency Services Training Center, we essentially turn this place into a laboratory. We've got several structures around here that we build to simulate where you live. And one of those structures is right here behind me. What I want you to do is I want to take you inside here, and I want you to see how this looks like your home. And then once we get you outside, we're going to go ahead and recreate what would happen if there was a fire in this structure right here. Look pretty normal? Yeah, got some furnishings. You'll notice the difference down here as we walk down. This bedroom door will be closed, and the one at the end of the hall will be open. And what I want you to do is pay attention to the comparison of the two of those and think about you and your family trying to survive this fire. All right, we just hit the button. We have ignition.
Oh boy, there she goes. Oh man, that is scary.
It's scary, right? Look, we have smoke coming out over here already.
Smoke's coming out.
What a lot of people don't realize is that the furnishings that are in our homes today are made of synthetic materials. So they burn so much faster than your old natural cotton-filled furnishings used to be. The statistics that we've seen through our research is in about 40 years ago, you had about 17 minutes to get out of your house after the smoke alarm sounded. Now you have less than 3 minutes.
Holy crap. See, this is the things that we were... Whoa. Can you feel that?
How can you survive that?
Seriously, that is insane.
All right, go ahead, knock it down. All right, as you remember, closed door on the left, open door on the right. And you can see the dramatic difference between the two with the simple closed door.
Impressive.
We want people to be as prepared as possible and understand the importance and how little time you have and what that simple barrier can provide to you and your family should you have a fire. I want you guys to throw some hard hats on and some safety glasses and at least poke your heads in the windows, or you can even walk in the hallway if you want.
Give me a word or phrase to describe what you just saw.
Anxiety.
Frightening.
Terrifying.
I really didn't expect anything like this.
I'll ask you one last time. In the event of a fire, are you safer sleeping with the doors open or the doors closed?
Without a doubt, the door closed.
Definitely with the doors closed, and from now on, the doors will be shut at night.
Definitely closed.
Closed.
Definitely closed. And I'm surprised by it.
It's always great to be able to get the message out when we can take our research and get it out into the community to change behavior with the message of close before you doze. It feels great, and hopefully we can save lives.
If there was one bit of advice that you could give friends or family today, what would it be?
Close before you doze.
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 The key fire safety messages we want people to have are, one, have working smoke alarms in every level of your home, inside and outside every sleeping room. We want everybody to have an escape plan. Should you have a fire, you should know how to get out quickly. And if you can't get out quickly, having a closed door between you and where that fire is critical to your survival.
All right, let's take a break. Was there a question or anything about that? Yes, I saw you.
What if the fire starts in the bedroom that you're sleeping in, and you don't want the door closed?
If the fire starts in the room that you're in, you're going to get out. So, and yes, you need to think of it, yes, okay, so that's one more step. You're going to have to open the door. And by the way, if you open the door, thank you, close it. Because when you close it after you go, guess who you're helping? All right, you're helping us. Now, the balance in the equation needs to be I want to make sure that I phrase this correctly. It's not which is more likely to occur, but it seems that you would need to balance having to open the door to make your egress versus having the door open and having something like this. We come back from the intermission, I have a couple of the data points. I was able to go see these guys for a basement fire study. And they had a couple data points from this that I think will also help reinforce the point. Okay, but I wanted to end with this at this point, and we could take an intermission or a break. What time is it? 8:09. Okay, we're doing fine. Are we doing fine? I'm doing fine. Are we doing fine? It's okay for me up here. Okay, so you want to say 10 minutes? Back in 15? Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and get rolling again. I just would like to go on record that we've been here for over an hour and I have yet to trip on the cords. But others have. So let's talk about just the end of this real quick. You cannot read it. I apologize. So the upper bedroom, that's the open door. This is the closed door. This was from a different experiment, so if it doesn't look exactly the same, that's why. But it's the same principle. The open bedroom door, peak temperature 4 feet above the floor, so right above your bed height. The peak temperature in that fire was 500 degrees. Carbon monoxide levels at 4 feet above the floor, 6,000 parts per million. The bottom line is, you're not walking out of that. It's not going to happen. The open bedroom, and here I am moving the mouse, pointing with the mouse again. The open bedroom door for that experiment, the peak temperature 4 feet above the floor, 100 degrees. Carbon monoxide 4 feet above the floor, 600 parts per million. You're walking away from that. All right, simply by keeping that. Oh, and by the way, because when I was down there talking to these guys, someone in the room said, well, wait a minute. Those are 6-panel solid core doors probably that you have. The old good doors that made a slam when you slammed them. They're not the hollow core. And the guy said, no. They're hollow core Luan doors. There's a time that they offer for fire protection. So keeping that door closed will buy you time to survive this. And you're walking away from this one. Okay? Yeah, there were a couple of other housekeeping items I was reminded, but we'll make sure that we cover them in a second. So let's talk about fire protection here. Let's look first at your common areas. These are your lobbies, the hallways, and I think the clubhouses are thrown in here too. In those common areas, the smoke detectors are interconnected, and when one alerts, they will all go off. We talked about that. We talked about the battery serving as a backup, and these will alert the central station. So the way that works, that alarm goes off. I think it goes to the security panel. Eventually, though, it will land to us. It'll come back to us. All right? Now, the other things I have here. Yes.
Before you go on.
Yes.
Does anybody know emphatically whether that process is automatic or requires somebody to make a phone call at Central Station?
It requires them to make a phone call from Central Station to security. And security come over and see what's going on.
But Westbury Fire Department does not get notified immediately from Central Station.
No. There's a fire, and correct me if I'm wrong, fire alarm goes off, not just a local alarm. Fire alarm goes off, it goes directly to.
Yes.
If a water flow happens, which is a sprinkler head that opens up, fire department's notified immediately. Anytime it goes loud, screeching bells are going off, and the strobe lights are flashing, they are notified immediately.
That's why I wanted to make, that's why I said that these are these are the hallways in the buildings. These are those areas. So the point I wanted to make was, in those areas, it's the smoke detector that will do the alerting for the central station. So that smoke detector goes off. It's saying something is happening that we don't like, so come over and take a look at it. And we'll see there's a distinction between how they work and how the smoke detectors in your units work. There's a difference. All right, we'll cover that. All right. You should also be aware of the pull stations. All right, if there's an emergency and you are getting out and you think it's a good idea to pull a pull station because something bad is happening, pull the pull station. All right, we're not going to yell at you because there was a fire and you pulled the pull station. And the other thing were the screeching horns and strobes and stuff that are kind of all over. Now the residences. So for the condominiums and the villas, when your smoke alarm goes off within the unit, it does not trigger the building alarm. Because in your apartments, they'll go off. You invite me over to help cook dinner, it's going off. It's foregone. We don't want a fire department response because I came over to make toast. So that's why that behaves that way. It's the sprinklers in your units that will do the alerting. So you all have them. When that head activates, so the red thing, the frangible link, when that goes away, yes?
At what temperature does that? 155, I believe. 155? Wow. Pretty low. I think we have both low and high temperature ones.
They go off. You're still okay, and they go off. That I can tell you. I don't know. I did not get that down into the detail because they go off. And you're still okay when they go off. When that happens, that triggers a water flow alarm. So your system is designed to say, the head in this unit went off. Now, it's not likely that that's going to go off as a false alarm. It's not a smoke detector. It doesn't go off unless something bad is happening. So that's why when that thing goes, we're coming. Because that gets dispatched to us as a water flow alarm. So we know something not right is happening here. So that's the difference then. So the common area smoke detectors, if they alert central station, we're coming, unless we're waved off. Within your units, sprinkler head goes off, we're coming. Smoke detector goes off, we're not coming. Kick me out of the apartment, tell me not to come back, find my own toaster. All right. Is everyone's okay with that? All right. Yeah, I'm getting move it along from the side of the room here. Townhouses, right? If I had that right, you're kind of on your own. All right. Which goes back, and we'll talk about this in just a second. It goes back. So let me keep going. All right. There's a fire. I don't care if you're in a townhouse, condominium, villa. I don't care. There's a fire. Something bad is happening. You're going to know something bad is happening because something's not going to smell right. People are going to be yelling. There's going to be a lot of noise, and alarms are going to be going off. What was our first decision we talked about? What's the first thing we have to decide? That's right. All right. Safely. That's the determining factor. As far as I'm concerned, that's the determining factor. Can you safely make it out on your own from where you are to where you need to be? And if you answer yes to that, then go. All right, well, we have a little more on that, but the point I want to make at this point is if there's any hesitation in your mind that you're not sure you're going to be able to make it down 3 flights of stairs because maybe your knees just aren't that good anymore, don't go. You're going to shelter in place at this point. All right. It's not as bad as it sounds. We're gonna look at these a little bit more. So you decided to go. You're gonna grab your emergency go bag. How many of you have emergency go bags? Yeah, okay, everyone's gonna get them because they're good things. I'm doing this research for you guys. I'm getting one. We're gonna talk about that in a minute. You're gonna grab your emergency go bag. You're going to check the door for heat like we said, and you're going to get out of Dodge. It's time to go. You're not going to come back, and you're going, if you have information about other people on your floor, your neighbor you know is not getting out, once you're out, if we're here, all right, if we are here, you're going to find the command presence. So the command post, the incident commander, the person who's in charge. Typically for us, it's someone that is wearing a helmet other than black. I'm just a member, right? Lieutenants are yellow, captains are red, chiefs are white. You see a white hat, go get them. That's a chief or an ex-chief. Hi, I am so-and-so, and I live at this place. I know my neighbor is still inside. We hear that, I know someone is still inside, everything changes. That becomes life safety, number one priority. Property is number two, and it's a far second. Okay, so that's the other thing. The other thing that you can do on your way out, once you're safely out, just to be sure, call our dispatcher. I'm at building such and such, and it's on fire. Okay, we'll make it so that that's all, contacting your smartphones. All right, sheltering in place. Yes.
Should we notify dispatch that we know somebody's inside?
Yes. Yes. So, good point. You know someone's inside. You can also call the dispatcher and say that you know someone's inside. Good point. But I'll go you one better at that. You can't get out. For whatever reason, you can't. The fire's right outside your door, the hallway. You're not comfortable going down 3 flights of stairs. You're not getting out. You're staying put. Close your doors. Move to an area with a second means of egress. That doesn't mean you're getting out that way. Okay, I'm not telling anyone to jump out of any windows here. But move to an area your bedroom, right, that has a window. Some places, I believe, have like a sliding door. Okay. All right. Grab something. If it's a bedroom, your pillows, maybe linens. Open the window, throw them out. The better thing to do, instead of just throwing it out, put it out the window and then close the window back on top of it. If you can't hang it, throw it out, but close the window, the sliding door, whatever it was that you opened, close it back down again. Call the dispatcher. All right, we're going to give everyone that alarm line again. I am so-and-so in such and such, and I can't get out. All right. Now, a word about that. Let's keep in mind. This person is busier than anyone should ever be. So when you call that dispatcher, it may be a little concise with him. All right, he's trying to manage the startup of an event, so he may just say, sure, okay. He may say to you, stay on the line with me. All right, I can't say that for certain, but if you want them to, we could probably work something out. But you want to notify us that you're in there and that you're not getting out. Again, everything changes for us when that happens. The last thing to do is to try, I don't know about this. They say try to seal around the door. Like if you have an opening between the floor jam, the jamb of the door and the bottom of the door, kind of stuff something in there to keep the smoke out if you can, all right? But that's what's going to happen if bad things are happening and you can't make it out. All right, this is what we want you to do. The first person of authority on scene at this point is supposed to make a 360 of the scene, looking for debris below an upstairs window. And when they see that, we put the hand lines down, we get all the engines carry ladders, we ladder the building, we're going to come up and we're going to get you out. I do not need to tell you, like I do with the school kids, that when we come in through the window, not to hide from us. Okay? Okay. Last thing, the go bag. And we'll have hard copies of this for you guys, too. This is what we would like you to have with you for emergency purposes. I forget my keys. So one of the things that I made sure was in this list is the spare set of keys. All right, so we want to have some water. That's a couple of bottles of whatever. Yes, they do expire, so remember that after a year or so, you're going to need to rotate them out. Flashlight, same thing with the batteries. I think I've been snooping around the outdoor stores locally, and there's one that has it's a crank thing, so you don't have to change the batteries. That would be awesome. But you want some type of a flashlight. The foil blankets are those emergency, I don't know, you see them at the marathon, they give the finishers, right? Yeah, it's like the tin foil. They come in 1 and 2 person sizes. Me, it's 1 and 1. That's, the 2-person doesn't work. My wife's a blanket hog, but. Medications. I did speak to 2 of the EMTs that are also ER nurses. We don't want your pills. Don't put pills into your emergency bag. In fact, he actually said all they want to see is what you're taking. They don't need to know why you're taking it, and in fact, he said in most cases they don't need to know how often you're taking it. They just need to know what it is. And if it's going to be a sustained event, you're going to be probably hooked up with the Red Cross, and they're going to take care of that. All right, so it's just a list of whatever it is that you're taking. Whistles are good. If you can find a referee's whistle, that shrill, good-sounding whistle, those are great. You might want to have, if there's 2 people evacuating, you may want to have 2 of those in your bag. The glow tubes, everyone knows what those are, the glow sticks. All right. There's actually an LED version of it now. But again, the caveat to that, you got batteries to worry about. Spare keys, the protein bars. The purpose of this isn't for a sustained evacuation. This is just something that you're in the parking lot, it's cold, it's February, it's miserable out. It's just something to kind of make it a little more palatable for you. All right, so that's what the protein bars are there for. Some form of sugar. I know my blood sugar at the afternoon bottoms out. I'm just like, not good for anything. So they said, candy, lifesavers, something like that's good. And a small first aid kit. Not the triage kit. You're not going to be dressing wounds or anything like that, but just something. Okay? Anything about the go bag? Keep it by the door. Keep it in your bedroom at night so it's someplace where you can grab it real quick. All right? Okay, we're going to wrap up. What's this? This is, no, you don't count. You don't count. Yeah, okay, the thing below. So the thing at the very bottom is the fire department connection. The thing right above it is the water flow alarm with light indicator. There's a sign there. What's the thing on top? The V and the F and the R. That's absolutely correct. Another application, please. This is for us. This sign is for us. And I just put this here. We were jumping when we first saw that these had been installed here. I think it was a couple years ago. We were jumping for joy. We love seeing these. This means the world to us because it holds so much information for us. And I kind of wanted to end with this as kind of a, I don't know if when these were installed, if it was required that they go in, but they're here. And so it's like, in a way, it's kind of like kudos to do this. So what this means, the V, that's the Roman numeral 5, and that's your building construction type. It means, just by that indicator, I know that you are a wood frame construction, which is a wood wall bearing construction, which means that the structure itself for you is combustible. It's made out of wood. The F and the R are truss indicators for us. Those are engineered beams and joists. The F means that you have them in your floor. The R means that you have them in the roof. This tells me that I need to be careful if we're going in to that structure and it's fully involved. The first thing that's going to go is going to be the trusses. So that tells me that that's there. I need to be mindful of that. I need to be mindful. That's not something, you're going to be like, ooh, better go. We got the things on the floor. You're out by that point. This is more for me, but it makes a big difference. It makes a huge, I don't know, I didn't say this before, but one of the nice things about being in the volunteer fire service is that your kids can join too, right? So my son was a member. He became my lieutenant. Yeah, that's a great family dynamic, right? So we were at a fire ground once, and I was the pump operator. And so we're cleaning up afterwards. And he walked over to me, and he said, hey, why don't you hop up there and help those guys pack the hose? So the first thing that popped into my mind was, why don't you hop up there and help those guys pack the hose? And I realized he can't do that. He's giving you a lawful order on a fire ground, so he's in charge and you're not. So get your you-know-what up on top there and help those guys. So that was kind of one of the nice things. So when we see things like these truss indicators with the building construction indicator on it, that means a great deal to us. That's a big deal to us. All right. Now, we had the housekeeping. Did we clean up the smoke detectors? Right. Right, because the smoke detector in your unit goes off, please do not vent the smoke by opening the door to your residence into the common hallway. Okay? Because what's going to happen? That detector is going to go off. And who comes then? Yeah. Am I going to have my Jack Webb angry eyes maybe at that point? Possibly if I, had to get out of bed. All right, so that was one. What was the other thing?
Just a reminder that the sheets that are...
Oh, yes, the sheets. So there's information survey sheets. If you choose to fill it out, it's helpful to us. So that goes from you. Is there a blank one still that we could just hold? It says information survey on it, right? It says rescue squad, right, okay. You fill that out, that goes to our dispatcher. It gets entered into the computer dispatch system. Okay? In the event something bad is happening, this information appears, all the chief's cars, all our apparatus have mobile data terminals on them. So this information would pop up that unit such and such has someone who's not getting out, basically. It also would go over the air. Westbury Command, be advised, I show aided on the 3rd floor of that building in the following units. Yes?
I'm just wondering if you have a list of all the addresses, if you know what building those addresses are in.
Yes. So, yes, I'm still learning that by talking to the dispatchers, but I can tell you that they are, there's, the series numbers are associated to the building, associated to the address. And, but look, from my point of view, if I'm the first engine on scene, I'm going to get the escort at the gate, and they're going to lead me. And if the chief is the first person in, which happens usually because they just go, it's going to take me a couple minutes to wind up the engine, things like that. I get here, I look for his lights. So I'm going to find you also.
But with these sheets, if somebody fills it out and merely puts the address, but not the building number, okay, would you know the building number? Will the dispatcher know the building number as he enters it into your system?
Yes, they should, because it will look up, it will also go by the unit number.
Okay.
And it'll reconcile it that way. Keep in mind, though, that yes, so there's going to be association with the building number, and keep in mind that that's only broadcast or available for where we're supposed to go. So not everyone shows up. If we're operating over here, this doesn't. And the only other thing that we ask with this is that if things change, if the situation changes, that you let us know. Okay, so that we can keep these current. Remember, this changes how we are going to operate. Okay? Yes?
If we can't get out, and we decide to stay in, for instance, the bedroom with the door closed, would we be safer if we go into the bathroom and close that door also?
Okay, so the question is, if we're sheltering in place, are we better off in a bathroom or in a bedroom? The only determinant with that, first of all, make sure both have there should be a bathroom window that you can open, make sure. No? Okay. I personally, I wouldn't use the bathroom then. Because I can't hang anything out. I can't. If you're in the bathroom and you can't get out of the bathroom, right? Hopefully you have your phone with you. I don't know, there are places that have phones in bathrooms, which I've never figured out, but call us. But simply because of that fact, people will say, oh, I'll fill the tub with water.
I'm thinking you could have at least a second door and probably less burn gates.
Yes, that probably is true, but I'm going to balance that against the fact that I can't let anyone know that I'm in here. I would opt for the bedroom myself.
Got a question over here first.
Okay. I just have a quick question. Am I correct in assuming that unless the sprinkler system goes on, that the police department will not come? If it's just suppose it's a small fire in the house, you can't put it out with the fire extinguisher, but it's not yet that big a flame, a fire.
So I just want to make sure the fire's within your unit.
I'm sorry?
The fire's in your unit,
Yeah, it's in your unit.
and the sprinkler has not yet activated.
Correct.
So there will not be an automatic response at that time. At that moment, there won't be, because it's a sprinkler that's going to activate it. Now, here's the thing, though. So you're going to say, can I fight this, or do I need to go? So you're going to go through that checklist, regardless of whether the central station is being alerted or not. If it's in your unit, you need to decide, am I staying or am I going? Or fighting this thing, or am I getting out? And if you get out, you would call us directly. Right? So let me explain also, that was something else that came up during the break. Let me explain how this works. And the reason that I'm giving you the alarm line directly, if there's a fire in your unit and you call 911, you speak to a 911 operator. The 911 operator says, what's your emergency? You say, there's a fire. They say, okay. And they hit a button on the console that connects to the county-wide fire communication system. So then one of their operators listens in and then takes over the call, figures out where you are, and it's very quick, and then they call the local fire department. So Westbury's dispatcher then will get the call from FireCom, because 911, you said the word fire, and that's how that goes. It's very quick. It is much quicker now than it used to be, However, you have the option, if you know you need the fire department, you can call our number directly, that's 334-7924. All right, and we're going to have a contact card made for you to import into your phone so that you have it all right there. But you call it, that's our dispatcher directly. I'm in unit such and such and it's on fire. Okay, we're on our way. Okay, and there's no penalty in that. We're not going to, think less of you because you called us at that point. All right, so you don't have to wait for the sprinkler head to activate if you're leaving the apartment to trigger an alarm. You can bypass the whole system by just calling us directly. What?
To add to that point very quickly, if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
Even if the sprinkler heads are going off and the alarm's blaring and you're like, there's no way the fire department doesn't already know about this, call them anyway, because the phone lines could be down on the system and the communication system could be down. Like you said, Murphy's Law. Call them anyway and just let them know that there is an incident happening in the building. They're not going to get mad about 10 calls versus 50 calls.
No, and we like you. You've been very well behaved here over the years, so we'll come. But no, there's no harm in that. So, again, my bottom line is, if you think you need us, call us.
So a quick silly question. The type of fire extinguisher that's in the back on the wall, when you use it, do you hold it right side up or upside down?
Okay, it's not a silly question because it used to be upside down. You hold those right side up. So you're going to grab the handle in one hand. That's got a spray nozzle on the other. You're going to have that in the other hand and you're going to sweep back and forth with it. The old ones, the old water cans, you used to go upside down. But now they're all right side up. There's no penalty in familiarizing yourselves with those systems also, by the way. All right? It's okay for you to have that information. So if you had a question and you want to, Matt will review it or whatever. There's a ton of stuff online. Just make sure it's a reputable source. So FEMA has stuff about this and all that also.
One quick question. In the go bed, you mentioned a foil wrap. Do you know where you get those?
Sure, I absolutely do.
Oh, good.
You can buy them locally. Walmart has them. Dick's Sporting Goods. REI will have them. So sporting goods type places. Target, Amazon also will have them. And they're pretty cool from what I understand. I've never had to use one, but I understand, you wrap it around and they're nice. Don't tell my wife though, because she'll be like, get out of here and take your foil blanket with you.
If anybody wants to familiarize themselves, right here, you can take a look at it at the end of the presentation. But if you don't mind, it's fairly simple. Pin on the side, right on the nozzle, pull the pin, hold it from here. Aim.
And you're gonna pull that out so that you can hold it out.
I can't squeeze this unless I pull this pin out.
No, don't squeeze that with the pin out. Don't do that. And once you discharge it, it's out of service. Okay, don't say, let me just try it and see. Oh, how cool is that? And then hang it back up on the wall. It's no good then. All right. And they also, since we have it here, there's a pressure gauge on there. The needle should always be in the green. And for the larger ones, there's a service date because these can be reserviced. So when they expire, you replace it and they refill it. For ones within units and things like that, the more common ones, they're disposable. They're not going to get, and they're rated by their pounds. I think the little ones are like 3 pounds, and they're rated by their pounds. But you need to keep them aware of that expiration date also. Don't don't set it off inside if it's not an emergency. It's like a baking powder. It's going to go everywhere. It happened once as a kid. It was not good. Yes.
I noticed that you have two phone numbers on your sheets. You have one that's 334-7924 and one that's 334-7968.
Yes, I do. Okay. 7924 is the alarm line, and we'll have that again as the contact card, and we're also, someone ran off with our stickers. We have stickers that we're going to get to you that you put on your phone, on the handset, that has that 7924. You call 7924, and they know that it's an alarm. Okay, but now, just one other thing, while we're on that subject. If there's a fire and you call 334-7968, and they pick up and they say, Westbury Fire, and you say, hey, there's a fire, they're not going to say, call back on the alarm line. All right, it's not going to happen. They're going to say, okay, where are you? What's the, what they give you all this? Okay, so it's okay to call the other number. Don't call the fax number, though. Don't do that. But the 7924-7968. Now, if you call 7968 because there was a fire, the worst thing that's going to happen to you, the absolute worst thing, is that the dispatcher, in a moment of calm and solitude, is going to say to the chief, be advised, this came in on the business line. And they're just going to confirm with you that you are aware of the alarm line at that point. Because the pickup is a little quicker for the alarm phone. It didn't go off when these guys were there, but I jump out of my skin when that alarm phone rings. Yes?
If you can't get out, and that's unusual, I understand that, wouldn't it make sense to go on the balcony?
Okay, so
Every apartment has one in the suite buildings.
I can't say that I would say that there was a reason not to other than weather. All right, so if it's a nice summer evening, all right, but in the February, I would say you're just as good being on the other side of the sliding door. You should have enough, as we saw, protection with that interior door closed, that things should be okay. Now, okay, personally, if I have to shelter in place, I'm starting my shelter in place in the bedroom. And if things start to go really, really bad, I'm going to move to the balcony. But yeah, sure, move to the balcony if you're okay with that. You know, that may give you the added advantage of yelling like a crazy person. All right, and you know, for some reason I have a habit of locking myself out. You know, I don't know if that would be an issue, but that's how I would say that. I think you're just as survivable on the balcony as you would be in the bedroom. So do what you think you should do. However, what I would tell you in either case is to make it apparent to everyone that you are there. That's the most important thing. Hang something on the railing, throw something out, yell like a crazy person. Even if you're inside, open the slider, yell, make all kinds of a racket. If you're inside, close the door back up, and there's all kinds of scientific reasons I won't bore you with, but that's how I would approach that. Uh-oh. Now I'm in trouble.
Just a point of information, if you fill out that piece of paper, we also gave you envelopes. Put the paper in the envelopes for confidential reasons, and we'll give them to the fire department for their purpose.
Or you can mail it in.
Or we can take them tonight also.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Peter. Your committee did a great job. Thank you. Let's go.
You're very welcome.